My husband and I are going to a potluck party today, and of course we have to bring a dish, as well as a white elephant gift. Now, there's no real theme to the food, so I decided to make my lemon ginger sticky wings. They're the perfect party food because you can easily pick them up with your hands, and they play nicely with all the other food on the table. They're sweet and sour with just a hint of warm spice. So if you want to know how to make a really good party dish, then come inside and I'll show you how to make it. I personally love chicken wings. And the best part of this recipe is that you don't have to stand over a bubbling hot vat of oil. They're just gonna bake in the oven. So for my lemon ginger sticky wings, you're gonna need chicken drumettes, lemon, ginger, a jalapeno, brown sugar, soy sauce, and Worcestershire sauce. In a large bowl, you just grab 3/4 of a packed cup of brown sugar. I'm using light brown, but you can use what you have. And then we're gonna have to balance out that sugar with a little bit of tartness, actually a lot of bit of tartness. So that comes in the form of 2 lemons. I make sure to get the zest first. Remember, don't hit the white part. Stop at the yellow. Now I'm gonna put the lemons through a squeezer. So I'm just gonna help myself out by cutting off the ends so it fits nicely. Of course, you can always just use your brute strength, but make sure you get all of that juice out. The citrus in this dish is the first thing that's gonna hit you in the face when you bite into it. So if you're not a big lemon person, this recipe is not for you because it is super lemony, super delicious. And then you need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I wouldn't use the low sodium one, I would just use the regular kind. If you only have the low sodium one, then you can just substitute by adding a little more or just a little bit of salt. And then 4 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce or Worcestershire sauce. And then when all of that is in there, you just want to get a whisk and dissolve that brown sugar into the liquid. Of course, it'll melt more in the oven. You just want it to not be a big lumpy clump. And the last step is ginger, hence the lemon ginger part of the recipe, and a jalapeno or a serrano pepper. So I'm gonna cut off about an inch, inch and a half piece. And you can use a thin spoon to peel it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of use my knife, go around. And then you're just gonna cut it into slices. Doesn't have to be thin slices, because you're just gonna fish this out of your sauce afterwards anyway. And then with your jalapeno, just cut it in half. And that's it. Leave that aside for a little bit. Now, I have 2 pounds of chicken drumettes, which are just chicken wings with the tips cut off. And they're already segmented into 2 pieces. You know how the wing has 3 pieces? And I did this recipe before with whole wings that I just segmented myself, but those wings tended to be a little bit smaller. So if you find chicken drumettes, then get those because they tend to give you the big meaty pieces. And if you can't find them and the recipe calls for 2 pounds, then just make sure you get more than 2 pounds. And then when you cut the wing tips off, you'll still end up with 2 pounds of chicken drumettes. Does that make sense? Obviously, this is not enough for my potluck party, so I'm gonna make another batch after this. And trust me, I think you'll wanna double this recipe anyway. And then You just gently toss them so that they get nicely coated. At this point, the sauce is really thin, so it's not going to super cling on to the chicken. And don't worry, because you're going to actually cook the chicken in the sauce, so it'll have plenty of time to drink it up while it's cooking. Swim in the sauce, my little babies. And your last step is to just grab your ginger coins and your jalapeno. I like to just kind of put it upside down. It doesn't really matter. And then you just dump everything into a rimmed baking sheet or a baking pan. You can use a casserole dish, anything that has a rim, obviously, to catch the sauce. But nothing too deep because you want the heat to be able to touch and brown the chicken. And I'm using a disposable foil because I've made these wings before and the sauce does tend to burn on the side and I don't like cleaning it up. But the only problem about this one is that these little grooves catch the sauce and kind of burn more. But that's fine because that's the beauty of a disposable pan, right? The oven is preheated to 300 degrees. It's a low heat because you're going to cook this low and slow for 1 hour. You can keep an eye on it just to make sure that it doesn't cook too much. It always depends on the size of your chicken wings. If they're really small, they might take less than an hour. Okay, let's go.
I wish I had a little piece of chalk so I could show you everywhere I walk.
So the chicken wings have been cooking low and slow in a 300-degree oven for an hour. It gives it a chance to turn tender and drink up some of that sauce. But we need it to be nice and glazed on the outside. So we're just going to change the temperature to 450. And while that's preheating, just going to take the time to turn your wings in that beautiful, pungent sauce. At 450, the sauce is going to reduce and turn syrupy and thick. But you're going to have to watch it. You might want to even switch to a rubber spatula and get in the corners like this. See, it's already starting to turn glazy on the sides right here. And mix it all together to prevent it from burning too much. But it's okay if it burns a little because your chicken will be fine. So you just want to stand nearby and every so often pull it out and give it a toss with your spatula and with your tongs. Make sure you flip the chicken and just kind of rub around the sides so the sauce doesn't burn too much. So this could take you anywhere between 15 to 25 minutes depending on the hotness of your oven, the size of your chicken, and the thickness of your glaze. So also remember that you don't want to reduce it too much because as it stands, it will thicken. So wherever it's sticky on the sides, you can use your spatula to help it along and blend it in with the rest of the sauce. But if you see burned corners like this, kind of leave them alone because you don't want to infuse that burnt flavor into the rest of your sauce. Remember that the wings are fully cooked from that hour of cooking from before. So all we're doing right here is just to make it sticky, sweet, and beautiful on the outside. So it's up to you how long you really cook this. But for me, I'm gonna live a little dangerously and push it just a little longer. All right. Don't mind the burned edges. They didn't touch the chicken, and that's why I use a disposable tin. So I'm gonna give it another flip, let it stand, and then flip it again, and then we're ready to plate. Isn't it amazing at how sweet and sticky it got? Look at that. Just because it stood and kind of cooled off, the glaze just thickens up so nicely. super shiny. And I just steamed up some broccoli because that's how I'm gonna take it to the potluck party. You know, just because I feel like it adds a little color, some veg. It also looks like it stretches more. Don't worry, I have another batch. And then the best part, take some of that leftover glaze and take it up a notch. And do this to it. That's right, paint your chicken. It's that final kiss of glistening sticky sauce. And a final scattering of some finely chopped cilantro, just for a little accent, freshness, color. This, of course, is optional. You can also jazz it up and use crushed peanuts or any kind of herbs. Scallions would be good too. Okay, now the taste. I'm so happy right now. The very first thing that hits your tongue is that burst of lemon from the zest and the juice. Then the sweetness comes with a little bit of warmth from the ginger. And now some substitutions. If you didn't want to use chicken wings, you can always use chicken legs or chicken thighs or no chicken at all. Try it on some ribs or pork chops. Basically, anything might taste good with this sauce. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, remember to push like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. There ain't no thing like a chicken wing.